Hi, I'm Akilora.
Number one now.
Welcome to The Long Take. This week we're discussing the new Martin Scorsese movie, Killers of the Flower Moon. Unites both his muses, the past one, Robert De Niro and DiCaprio. It's his almost his longest movie, or almost matching the one he made 4 years ago. But it never really feels that long. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, it doesn't feel that long in a very different way from The Irishman. Irishman was...
I think Irishman was a lot more, it's strange to say that, but it felt more commercial once you see this one.
For sure.
It's not like Irishman is more commercial in itself.
Yeah, by comparison, it feels almost upbeat. Like,
yeah, you could, yeah. Because like Irishman has like almost like a staccato sort of rhythm to it, right? You're like, yeah, he's like dealing with this guy now. He's planning this like beat now. He's planning like this murder or whatever, and like sort of it feels like chapter wise sort of this, and the story is almost like one long saga of these people.
yeah, that felt more punchy. Even the way it was it felt like they were dancing almost. This one is more glacial, and it wants to kind of like pull you in and then let you simmer, and then it doesn't like... It's not like Irishman was funny also and violent. This one is just more straightforward, single-minded in terms of what it wants to convey.
Yeah. Irishman was definitely like it like this old Scorsese sort of things like in it, like of like you would want to show the violence, but in this one, he is deliberate about not showing the violence, right? Because he feels like that is antithetical to the point he's trying to make. Then
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. The violence is probably the most like the overarching theme of this movie. Like, just it exists in every frame, and
sure, but like he's not like showing the killing of Anna Brown. He's not I mean, except he eventually does, but it's not in the same way graphic as like some of Irishman's killings.
I suppose. I mean, to show like in The Irishman, the act of killing itself is... I mean, it's... and in the hands of Scorsese, it's such a cinematic thing. Here, it's more about the aftermath. Like, we see dead bodies very often, but they're dead.
Yeah.
And then we see what's done to those bodies, which we don't ever see in like The Irishman, for example.
Yeah.
So like it ties in with the themes of this movie. It's like, here is the ripple effect of what happens when someone dies, not just in the minds of the people like around them, but also like in a more metaphorical sense, So yeah, in this way, it's weird, but it feels like like it's in partnership with The Irishman, because it's dealing with similar like things, like it's about life and death and stuff, but it feels like such a different movie,
Why is that though? Why does it like, it's obviously we've discussed some aspect of it is the fact that the pacing of it and the way it's like set, it's not like trying to be comedic with the violence, or like the comedic with like because then the Irishman is like being narrated by that guy, right? So he's obviously like believes himself to be this legend. But in this one, like we're watching, like I feel like this is probably the dumbest character DiCaprio has played on film.
Possibly, yeah. He's the real fool. Right.
Yeah, he's so gullible. He's so like, okay, whatever you tell me, this is my world now. But their actions are so brutal, and these characters like pretend like, I mean, I think I saw through it like the moment like Robert De Niro came on screen and the words that started coming out of his mouth of like, I provide jobs and what kind of woman do you like, and I'm just like, this guy seems very nice, but something's going on here.
Who seems nice?
Robert De Niro, when he first appears on screen in this movie.
Oh, actually, De Niro though is like from like the first second he appears, he's the villain, and he's like playing him like a villain. And the odd thing is that in their first meeting, now I don't know how long it's been since Ernest and William Hale have last met,
right?
But the moment that they meet again or whatever, it's almost as if William Hale knew what he was going to use Ernest for, and he also knew that Ernest is stupid enough to...
Yeah.
It's not like he discovered it like 2 hafte baad, oh, this guy is an idiot, he can be played.
No.
Like, in their first meeting, he was like, "Oh, this person, I know what to do with him."
Yeah, because he literally, the first meeting itself, he starts setting up like those sort of building blocks, right? He's like, because that's what I said, like when the moment he poses the question, what woman do you want, what kind of family do you want, like he's searching him out. He's like, how can I best use him to get to the ultimate goal I have?
And the scarier alternative to this is that William Hale is so confident that anybody can be turned.
Yeah.
With
There's
the
a
right
reason
pressure.
he's labeling himself king, right?
Yeah. So it's not like he's gauging personalities to see कि अच्छा ये बंदा can be easily swayed or not. He's like, no, I can. Everybody deep down is they want money, and I can get them the money, and then in exchange, willingly or not, they can do my bidding, basically.
Yeah,
But
at all costs. Right? He doesn't really. There's no like self of like everyone can pay, but my family, even his family, are expendable for him.
It's obvious that DiCaprio, like Ernest, he has genuine feelings for his wife Molly, and it's obvious that she also likes him despite herself.
Yeah.
But then at some point in their relationship, which is like almost like that Daniel Day-Lewis Phantom Thread thing, right? At some point in their relationship, they realize that
yeah. Like after a point, words aren't enough anymore, right? Like you can say I love you, but it becomes meaningless when your actions are exactly the opposite. You are poisoning your love every day of your life.
Yeah, and how much of it is denial, right? On both those characters' part, right? How much like does Ernest know that he's poisoning her, or does he genuinely just think that he's slowing her down for something? And does Molly know that she's being poisoned by Ernest, or does she think that someone else is out there killing people, and her husband can't be the one?
And even after, right? What I found surprising was that even after everything happens and the FBI come in and the investigation happens, and when he's allowed to meet her like outside, what I found strange was that she was hanging out with Byron. I'm like, how is this woman still hanging around Ernest's like cousin? How is like, is she like, does she like, obviously that she knows the entire family's involved. So how is this woman like, okay, sure, Byron is driving me to this meeting. I'm like what kind of level of she's thinking is like, is she operating?
Yeah, and she even tells William Hale कि ये मैं सोच रही हूँ करने का, and which is basically like giving him a heads up, and he's not the kind of person that you. But I like in the book, it's explained a little bit, which the movie doesn't do enough of. And in the book, they say that and it's a very simple answer. I don't know how easy it is to buy or not, but the book says that she was heartbroken. And because she was heartbroken, she simply just denied her feelings and went along with certain things because she didn't have the courage or strength to push back. Right. But like listening to all of that, it makes the character seem, I don't know, weak. And in the
it sort of takes agency of
and in the movie she's introduced as this, from the first scene she's introduced as this fully fleshed human, right? And you spend 2 minutes with her and you kind of get a sense of who she is, what she stands for, her culture.
That she sees the world, right? Like she sees through Ernest like the first time.
So we know that she's not dumb.
Yeah.
But this could also be because of the changes that we might want to talk about that Scorsese has made to not only the book but also the original version of this movie, right?
So I haven't run into any of that, so I'll let you take the lead.
So the book is basically like the subtitle of the book is I think The Birth of the FBI or something along those lines, right? So it's more of an investigative thing where the FBI agent comes in and it's earliest days of like, let's try this federal agency, where everybody's answerable to.
Yeah, like they still haven't even gotten their full acronym. It's just Bureau of Investigation.
Correct. So it's more of an investigative procedural. Movie was kind of devised also in a similar fashion initially, right? And then I think when DiCaprio was like, nee, this is feeling weird or whatever, and then they kind of rewrote the entire thing. And basically what happened was that Scorsese realized that there was a perspective problem and that he didn't want to
make it a law and order movie.
and approach the story from the perspective of the investigating white man who isn't really, he's coming in as an outsider, right? But this way you can kind of get a better idea of like just the true tragedy of it from the inside out. So that was the change that was essentially introduced, and the first hour of this movie is just a lot of that, right? And
yeah, and it also sort of impacts like sort of your experience because heavily in that sense, because you're like, you can actually feel the lack of just any like police, right? Like there's no policing, it's just like lawless, this
yeah,
land.
it's in the dying days of the Wild West, but it's
Yeah,
also,
like William Hill is literally like, he's what he call, he's a reserve deputy sheriff or whatever, right? And he is basically deciding the fate of everyone in the town. And that's why like initially when a Molly gets the voiceover, she's like, yeah, died, no investigation, died, no investigation. Like you can feel like this land is just like, it's part of the Republic, but it's also not part of the Republic.
which is also, they have this crossover thing with the Tulsa massacre, right? From which we all found out about after Watchmen, where it's a very similar thing that happened and it was allowed to happen. But and then Jesse Plemons is like almost like an afterthought, right? He comes in, he's like literally 2 hours into the movie.
Yeah.
I looked at my watch. I was like, it's a great like introduction.
Hey, Jesse Plemons 2 hours, like there's the people like the lawyer who's a big actor, right? Who's that? I'm forgetting it.
Brendan Fraser.
Brendan Fraser is the other one, but the defendant killing.
John Lithgow.
Yeah, imagine deploying John Lithgow at the 2.5 hour mark. Like, oh look, we have him right now here. Hey,
even Brendan Fraser, he's literally just won an Oscar.
Yeah.
Abhi kuch mahine.
Brendan Fraser is like even I think fewer moments, but yeah, both of them, Lithgow and Fraser, are like oh yeah, we also have these actors around. And at this point where you've watched like 150 minutes already,
it's also like this fairy tale, like a Grimm's Brothers thing, right? There is a reference to a wolf.
It's also like also more interesting because of the methodical nature of it, right? It's not like one crime planned, right? It's like like long term, like decade long, I don't know, planning of like just like erasing people, right? Like they want to erase them out of history. It's not like you want to kill one guy because you want his inheritance. No, you want to kill the entire population.
After a point, he starts seeing them as like checks, right? He doesn't see them as people. He's like,
like इसको drop करेंगे तो इसका right आ जाएगा, इसको drop है उसका right आ जाएगा, then घुमा के मेरे पास आएगा.
No, all of it is like that scene in Oppenheimer. Remember where the person is like, when they're planning on where to drop the bomb type, and the person is like, ha, not Kyoto.
मेरा वहाँ पे honeymoon था.
That's how they discuss killing in this movie.
Yeah.
They're like, no, but उसके 25,000 वहाँ से आने बाकी हैं, you know.
Yeah.
And then he's just telling this person that Henry, the guy with the melancholy, like that whole subplot that happens.
Yeah. Everyone is like dismissed in such strange ways, right? Like, he's like, yeah, he's a melancholic. Like they repeat that 8 times, and they're like, yeah, slow her down. Like every time they're implying like murder, slow poisoning, and like the casual word they're using. Like one time, Ernest just approaches like this guy in open broad daylight. He just confronts him like, get it done, take care of them, get it done right now, take care of them. I'm like, bhai sabri, you're discussing like murder in just like broad daylight, because at this point they know, they just own the town.
Yeah, I mean initially though he keeps saying that I love money, I'm in it for the money, right? And then after a point when he starts talking about murder that way, that's also very similar to The Irishman, right? Where after a point it becomes so second nature to De Niro's character in The Irishman.
Yeah, like just take care of it.
Yeah, literally when Joe Pesci is like, take care of it, and that's a very funny cut in The Irishman where he's like, take care of it or something, and then they cut to De Niro and he's like raises his eyebrow, and Joe Pesci is like, no, I didn't mean that way. And it's similar in this movie, right? After a point you're like, acha, he's obviously like, what else are you going to do except like kill people?
And it's just like the level of like their, so in a way it's worse sometimes, right? When stupid people are doing like violence than like massively smart people doing violence, because then stuff like that happens. Like when they like that dynamite scene, I'm like, what the hell? You had to kill like 2 people who told, and he just blew the entire neighborhood.
Yeah. It's like, so it's that thing, right, where William Hill is like smart enough to not get his own hands dirty, and then he starts delegating responsibilities, and then DiCaprio starts delegating responsibilities, but he's not as smart.
He's not smart.
Yeah, and so like the hierarchy of stupidity is just
Yeah, it's insane. Every moment I was just thinking, I'm like, oh my god, one detective in this house of cards like falls. One detective literally, like one guy pays attention.
but the repeated
And yeah,
tragedy of it is also like it was allowed to continue for like so long, so many years,
exactly.
and forget us town mein nobody cared, and it was very obvious, that they're keeping the murder away by switching those lights on. That's such a haunting
Mhm.
kind of moment, right?
Yeah.
And then even when the FBI comes, it's almost like the Osage people are like they don't trust the FBI. They don't trust those law enforcement. They're like, "Tum
Because you let them down so much. तो पहले, how did the Osage nation come to be? Is that you
made
drove them
people
from state to state. From state to state. They were like, okay, you live there. No, you can't live there. Okay, you moved there. No, you can't live there. No, you can't live there. And then finally, one land you gave them. And that one land you gave them, they're like, oh, you have oil here. It's too bad. We are coming here also.
It's kind of relentless, and then that's what makes the ending so crazy, right? The ending is my favorite part of the movie. It's not merely questioning Scorsese ka apna role in this, like I have this great American tragedy, right? It's defined my country,
Yeah.
and
This is a
it's
story. Literally the story of the birth of your country. Right?
yeah, in a perverse way, it's the story of your own birth,
Yeah.
right? And here I'm making entertainment out of it, right? For most people will watch this and not think about it, right? As important as it is, that's the reality. It's not going to have a similar impact on most people. They're going to watch it for what it is, which is it's a movie, and they're going to forget. They're going to eat popcorn. They're going to go home, right?
If they make
And
it through the entire movie in the first place.
Exactly. मेरे पीछे वाला बंदा सो गया यार.
And you were still in the theater, like he committed his time, right? A lot of movie people will turn this on Apple TV in December and be like, okay, no, I'm checking out.
I'm checking out. Yeah. And at the end, Scorsese, he's popping up. He's like, this is real, and here I am. I'm here to tell you that it's real. And that's all I can do, basically, is to remind you.
I still like ensure that he's like what you talked about, right? Like how he's questioning his own, like turning this into like fodder, into entertainment fodder for himself.
Yeah.
It's like all those radio plus sound effects, like that is like he that's like, oh, this is the tools I'm using, right?
Yeah.
The tools I'm using to like make a movie out of it. Right?
Look at this great slow-mo thing of Osage people dancing. How pretty it looks. They're gonna die, like that. So it is like he's pointing the camera at America, but he's also like, here's me and here's my part, which is also
he's like, here's also the limitation of what my
again it ties into The Irishman, right? It's because he's of a certain age, right? In The Irishman, he's looking back at his own life and like wondering.
Yeah, I feel like these movies are like a response to like Wolf of Wall Street and the like mistakes he made until that point,
which he's not willing to accept, by the way.
Yeah, which is like weird. Yeah,
which is weird, right? Because I read or maybe heard or watched somewhere recently where he's aware at least that Taxi Driver mein, you're not meant to kind of root for the character, right?
Which like he also endorses, yeah.
But Wolf of Wall Street mein, he's like, no, of course I wasn't like glorifying that person.
I guess, yeah, that's the human limitation of him, is that even he gets things wrong.
Yeah, we tend to think of him as this kind of perfect.
Yeah, after a point when people start like keep making movies of this level in their 80s, you're like, yeah, he's a bona fide legend. But I guess even legends have boundaries.
Of course, इसमें भी लोगों को problem तो हो गया. I don't know if you watched that clip of the Osage consultant person.
No, I have.
There was at the premiere of this movie, the Osage consultant. I'm sure like there must have been a bunch of them, but one of them was interviewed, and he had a very like complex. Someone asked him, poor like red carpet reporter, asked him, so आपको कैसा लग रहा है something.
He just wanted like a 20-second bite.
Yeah, and this person,
and he got more than he could chew.
Yeah, this person goes into this grave, like deeply thought out, like articulate 2-minute answer about why this movie is important, but why it's not an accurate kind of representation of what my people went through. And so he was having it was like this dissonance in his head, right? Which in a way kind of captures this movie vibe. Is like
it's important to tell the story, but
then you can't begrudge, you can't be like, there might be a perspective issue. Yes, he's entering the movie from like DiCaprio's point of view, and DiCaprio is kind of redeemed at the end also. But then you can't deny the fact that he's very, very acutely aware of the tragedy, right? And the only thing he wants to do is convey the gravity of what happened, more so even than, oh, this poor earnest dumb idiot got sucked into it. That's secondary.
Yeah.
It's more about, here's the magnitude of what happened and here's how easy it was for it to happen. Right.
Yeah, if anything, like I think that sort of sometimes underscores the point, right? Like, is that people like Ernest are like, there's no shortage of them.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's so easy to pull people like Ernest into such schemes is dangerous.
He is a bhakt, he is a bhakt of the king.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's what I'm saying. He could be a bhakt. He could be like in the Israel-Gaza context, he could be transferred as well. Like these stories can be like easily transferred.
Yeah, he's a foot soldier.
He literally walks into feels like a Illuminati office at one point.
It's the Masonic lodge.
Mason, yeah, I know Masonic. Yeah, they have the board, but I also feel like it feels like an underground society. Literally, it's underground. He's like, yeah, so get down on your knees. You are being inducted into the society.
Get spanked. I wasn't expecting that.
That's the only thing I read, I think, off the movie, like off screen, is that he wore butt pads for that.
Asli mara usko.
Yeah. Martin Scorsese doesn't do things by half.
It's got to be real. DiCaprio did the stunt work himself.
So like, if you don't want to get hit, I guess, butt pads.
Great movie. I don't know if I'd ever watch it again though.
Yeah, that was my feeling as well, is that even with Irishman, like I feel like that's the thing, like these movies aren't in
Irishman I rewatched it recently, by the way. Silence I can't do again.
Yeah, maybe you will feel the same about this by 2020.
Possible, yeah. Possible. But it's one of those things where you're like, while watching it, you're so engrossed, and then towards the end, it kind of the ending recontextualizes everything that you've seen. And then I sat up and I was like, wow, what a great, crazy ending. And then when you come back home, you're like, oh my god, ye kya, ab main 4 din ke liye aise hu. But yeah, that's what you sign up for, right? You don't sign up for like Ant-Man.
Apple's like, we would like one more Oscar.
Yeah. I wonder.
It didn't work for Netflix, the strategy, but maybe it will work for.
Yeah, but this is also, we should talk about that, right? It's like a theatrical release, proper, for the first time.
Proper. Like in India, like if Netflix does it for like 2 weeks in the US.
And wo bhi naam ka hota hai, just for Oscar qualifier.
Yeah, naam ka. But at least it exists, right? It never reaches us. We never got to see like Knives Out 2 in the theater. But this is like global, which is next level. Like Apple's like putting like ads for Killers of the Flower Moon in the App Store and then saying go buy tickets. And I'm like, this is the strangest ad I've ever seen.
It's strange
because
too.
It's not directly benefiting Apple at all. It's not like give Apple TV money. No, go see our movie in the theater.
It's very odd, right? To watch like Apple original films ka logo.
Film on the big screen, yeah.
And then to have like a Napoleon ka trailer before it.
People are still supporting putting 3-hour movie.
3.5, let's not.
3.5, yeah. But this open eye and this, like, I don't remember the last time I saw 2 3-hour movies like up in the same year on the big screen.
It's fun once, but it's demanding, man. It takes it's like a day. You have to plan your thing around it. It's very
for sure. Especially with like ads and like intervals and stuff, you end up spending like 4 hours at the theater.
If only he knew India mein kya hota hai. He's going around sending notices to people for putting intervals. But
yeah, I don't know how people sit through this like at one go without like a bathroom.
That is the only thing. I think otherwise it's not like it's not like I got bored at any point where I'm like, move it on.
No, it's not that. But I'm just like, how do people not feel like I just need to get up and like stretch my legs?
It's a physical endurance test, and we're not used to like being still.
Yeah.
So that's there. That's
the only advantage to watch it on Apple TV is that you can pause whenever you want. You can watch it like people did like that with Irishman, right? Where they cut it into like chapters.
Yeah, वो तो Netflix में Netflix खुद बताया था. No,
Netflix से खुद भी कहा, yeah. So I think Apple should do that for this one as well. They will need it as a marketing tool. Stop at minute 27 after this family member dies. Stop at minute 34 when another family member dies. Every time there's a death, you can stop right now before a funeral is coming.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that does it.
Yep.
Okay then. That's all for this episode of The Long Take. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and Threads, The Long Take Pod. You can write to us at thelongtakepod@gmail.com. Wherever this is episode, please leave us a rating and a review, and we will see you next week. Thanks for listening.